Good morning, everyone. For those on Zoom, can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Go.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Great. So.
You guys don't have, okay, everybody has one, but
Yeah, Bert is great.
yeah, pens.
Saturday, have the other meeting. At the city, so. It's another two that he's it's yeah, it worked out. And I purposely, came in earlier, so last night. I got here. And so. It's like a good day. Now, when they there, friends, so. Seriously, productive. Yeah, it really was actually. It was nice and quiet. Only bothering me. Yeah. You said the rest. Actually, it was. I think it was part of it. Got a couple minutes. It was less of them. Yeah, yeah.
The one I left in, the whole second floor is forward space now.
Oh,
Get rid
really?
of that, yeah. The first floor is still more than normal to the start of the second floor is good section, toys, everything. Hopefully the space.
Oh, man. I love that. That one's really good. Used to be really big and it's still big, but.
Yeah, the first floor is look good, but it's just not the same without.
Yeah.
It's another way, it's not looking at walked in. Closed. See it.
Yeah, it's like when you go.
All right, we're gonna give it another minute and we're gonna get started. Thank you all so much for your patience. Hey,
I'm saying.
I actually knew
What we were talking about, right? Keep saying Starbucks, I don't know.
Because they have Starbucks.
Yeah, I was thinking that's what I was.
And we were always into buying things too, my son would play around with stuff, I didn't buy stuff. I would definitely grow revenue.
Every time I go, I buy it. Every single time.
at least one.
At least one.
Then I have the pile of books that I think, oh, that's. Because it's books, like, I want to.
Yeah.
Just like, yes, I want, give me a book.
You gotta, I have them all in my house, so that way, wherever I have kitchen table, I'll start opening and reading. Cause I spent you and Barnes and Noble, and, get back there an hour and a half. I'm gonna be traveling, so I'm like, I might as well buy, so.
Yeah. Still interested then, you're saying,
Exactly.
and I grew up going to the library. Or just pull books up.
By the way, is it just gonna be myself and Matt?
There's one more.
There's two more.
Why don't we-
No, you're fine, you're fine.
I was gonna say, we'll move over to.
No, the rest of our panelists are right on.
Oh, okay.
So specifically Melissa, we Okay?
I don't think too.
Oh, yeah, it's better, he's on.
Yeah.
You guys wave at the screen, I guess?
I see what you're saying.
Everybody can see you. right?
You're on the
Yeah.
left of the screen, where
That's
it's
right.
right, so it's gonna,
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today at our April meeting for Mercer County Reentry Coalition. My name is Shay Ola. I have the privilege of being one of the co-chairs of this great organization. My colleague, Jeanette Risk, she's on her way right now. I also want to acknowledge the rest of our leadership, Juan Rolo, our vice chairs, as well as Jeanette Porter. And we have Meyer George, who's our secretary, as well as Dr. Chelsea Turner, who is our treasurer. So thank you all so much, and I want to acknowledge all the members in-house today. I know we have a new location today, so I definitely understand some of our folks still finding their way. Maybe some people probably went to the old place, so, but I completely understand. It's a new location for us and upgraded technology, so we will take that. And so thank you guys so much for that opportunity to allow us to be part of this with you guys all. One of the things that we are hoping we could do at this time together is to get a chance to know you guys who's here today and for those who are online as well. And so if you have an opportunity to get to meet someone new here today, you are in luck because there's always great people in the room doing great work. Well, if you guys didn't know, today or this week, actually, or probably the whole month is Second Chance Month. And so we want to definitely give it up to all returning citizens, justice impacted individuals in the house, and definitely want to celebrate that today. So let's give it up to Mikey Sherrill, who was our new governor, actually had a declaration earlier coming, I think it was the 31st of March for this month, and obviously became a national awareness month through Joe Biden when he was president. And so we're glad to follow suit here in the state of New Jersey. So we claim that as well, since this is the capital county of our great state. As a coalition, we have been hyper-focused on finding ways to uplift, help, coming alongside justice impacted individuals. And amongst us here are many also who have gone through the system, have been impacted one way or the other, doing this work and making sure that we continue to highlight the things that can be helpful to the lives of those who have been impacted and their families. So we're glad that you're here in this room with us to do that important work. So as we move on the agenda, you could see on our agenda on your page, we have a few things that we want to address today. We have a great panel discussion for you guys today, as well as we have a great moderator, one of our founding members, Roundtable. And we have some great panelists that we will introduce shortly. So as you can see on the agenda, we are looking at obviously our opening remarks, which I've just completed. We're going to move a little bit swiftly into a little bit of community partners and organization announcements and introductions that you might have. So it's really simple. We'll start with those who are in the room, and then we end with those who are online with us. And we can start with yourself, ma'am, ladies first, then we go around the room and any announcements you have as well.
I don't have any announcements.
Okay.
My name is Letty Turtle. I'm pretty new to Salvation and Social Justice. I'm the housing coordinator. We provide case management services to those coming back into society, and we connect them to resources.
Good morning, Mayor Session, City of Trenton, Office of Returning Citizens. So we provide job readiness training and forklift certification, self-serve, auto training, anger management with the city for returning citizens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Taylor Stokes. I work as the county reentry administrator for county corrections, Mercer, to the community. I'm the freedom planner. Some announcements that I do have is that on Thursday, May 21st, we're going to be doing a blood drive at the county building on the 4th floor cafeteria. So if you're able to come and donate, that would be great. In light of Second Chance Month, I also have an event at the Lobby Club on April 30th from 5:30 to 7:30. $12 entrance fee. Raising a glass of second chances at the end of Second Chance Month. If you can make it, please come out. And that's all the announcements I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
And
Ms. Julia.
I'm Julie Woods Johnson from Mercer County Community College, and we partner with many of the organizations that work with second chance individuals to provide training and development services. And I'm so happy to tell you that right now we're running a solar program, and we have 2 returning citizens in it.
Thank you.
I'm Jean Swain. I'm with the Council on Compulsive Gambling of New Jersey. We know that gambling is an issue both inside and it can continue, especially when people feel like they don't have other opportunities, they might look to gambling to support themselves. It's not a good way to do that. So we're here to help anybody with a problem. And I am happy to be part of Second Chance Fund because I was given second chance.
Awesome, thank you.
My name is Elise Patterson. I'm with the Rescue Mission of Trenton, Manager of Care Coordination. We previously had a parole floor. We no longer have funding for it. So we're working out avenues to try to help the reentry population at the shelter on that.
Thank you. And we'll go to the back row before we come to you, Matt. Yes, sir.
Brian Stevens, Volunteers of America, and I am Senior Program Coordinator for Mercer County.
Welcome.
Then I'm Wayne Holmes, and I have a nonprofit living free empowerment community, and I'm just here. I was invited to just come and observe by the moderator Wayne and Toby and we do reach out to people returning from prison. And, I've done reentry for years and thank you so much.
Morning.
Matt Neron with Flockhart. We're an on-site facility management company, so we place our own team members on corporate campuses and university to help run facilities. So anything front end event management, front end maintenance. So our goal is right now we are hiring. So that's my update is that if you know anyone that we should meet with or interview with, specifically in Branchburg, New Jersey, that's where we're looking to place people right now.
Awesome.
My name is Fred Mcrc. I'm Vice President for a company named Data Screening. Our company does pre-employment background screenings for companies, organizations. One thing I do a lot in affiliation with what we have here is a lot of companies don't realize just because someone has a criminal record doesn't mean you cannot just not qualify them for the job. There's specific steps that have to be taken. New York has some strict laws about fair chance hiring. That's me.
I'm Tasha Grimes. I'm with Mercer County Probation. I currently supervise the gun violence caseload here in Mercer County.
I am Haley Johanneman, also with Mercer County Probation. Only my probation officer, but I also double as what we call an employment specialist. So there's essentially one of me in every county. I will say the upcoming career and resource fair at the Arena on Tuesday, May 12th, 2:30 to 5. Probation is partnering with Mcrc, DOL, One Stop, and Mercer County College. So if you haven't registered for the deal, please do so. If you have any questions, let me know.
Hi, I'm Carla Donegan. I'm with the New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. We are the state agency that administers financial aid for college. And just so everybody knows, financial aid is available to all eligible New Jersey residents, not just children, not just college age kids. And criminal background is not a deterrent to receiving financial aid. So I know that a lot of times returning citizens have more immediate needs, but when you are talking with them, if one of their goals is additional education, I would love to connect with you to help them access funding for it. And I do have a little bit of an update. There's very exciting news from Washington, and this will begin July 1st of this year. The Pell Grant, which was historically used for financial aid, federal financial aid for college, is being expanded.
and it's being expanded to cover workforce Pell. And these Pell grants will be available to participants in short-term training programs. So something that runs 8 to 14 weeks is less than 500 hours. The amount of the Pell Grant will depend on the individual's income. However, they're not looking to provide full tuition, but approximately maybe about $2,200. Which short-term training programs will qualify is up to the governor's office of our state. And currently the Department of Labor, one of James's colleagues, and the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education here in New Jersey are trying very hard to get our state in alignment with the requirements so that our residents can participate in this. But this is really exciting news. There has never been funding for short-term training. So this is a great opportunity for people to now start planning for next fall.
That's great.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Gabriel with the New Jersey Department of Labor, specifically the Office of Industry Partnership. So my role, my office is responsible with working with key industries in New Jersey, and developing some of the long-term pathway solutions for a lot of the workforce problems they have. I'm here really just to learn how to better communicate and have those discussions with employers. And one of the target populations that we like to help are people who have been justice impacted. And I'm sure everyone at the table has had the same issue when we're talking to employers about giving people who are just impacted a fair chance or a fair look. You know, we're always sometimes, or I'm met with a lot of skepticism or a lot of doubt. So that's why I'm here, how to, you know, learn how to have those conversations a lot better, introduce the topic a lot better with employers, so that we can help just the people get a fair chance.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I do have one last update. For those of you who are not aware, I've had discussions with the New Jersey Civil Service Commission. And a lot of people are not aware that civil service job openings are available to people with backgrounds, justice and all backgrounds. There are a few jobs that might not be, but please tell people that just because of their background, they're not immediately eliminated from consideration when it comes to state jobs. And I do have contact information that I can help you with if you want more information.
Good morning. My name is Vivian Harmon. I'm from the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. I am the Executive Director of Training and Development. We oversee the jobs program for the New Jersey Department of Labor for individuals who are justly impacted to help them re-engage the work. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rand. I am the founder of Breakfast with Our Boys series that works with at-risk youth starting at middle school. I'm also a workforce development consultant where I do mock interviews with a variety of organizations. And previously, I was the program manager of community outreach for the Father Center of New Jersey for the last 6 years. This Friday is my last day with them, but I still support the amazing organization.
If I may interject real quick before we transition, I forgot to mention that on May 19th, there is a New Jersey Pathway Reintegration meeting happening here at Robert Wood Johnson. It's a statewide reentry meeting, and I will be presenting there on employment and background checks. So if you're able to come out, please do. We would love your support.
Could you forward like a flyer or some information?
Absolutely. I will send it to Mr. Shea, the information to him so he can make sure that you all get it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll transition to those who are online. And I'll tell our panelists to withhold their introductions because we'll introduce you properly. So we'll have Michelle, we have Juan, we have Christine, I don't know if there's and Megan. So if you guys can, Michelle, if you want to introduce yourself first.
Hi, yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Petty. I'm the Assistant Chief. I'm here in probation. Kaylee works in our office and she's there representing us today as well. We're just here to be part of the coalition, to hear what we can do and bring back and what resources we can bring to our clients. And as Kaylee said, that we're having our employment event the 16th, right? Or the 12th, I'm sorry, the 12th of May, right, Kaylee?
Yep, it's the 12th. It's Tuesday, May 12th, 2:30 to 5. Tisha is here too, so.
Yes, yes, yeah. So it's a pleasure to see everybody today. Thank you.
Thank you. Juan?
Good morning, everyone. It's glad to see everyone in attendance today. I see a lot of my community partners. I'm honored to be in the room virtually with you guys. I have the privilege to serve as the vice co-chair of the Mercer County Reentry Coalition, and I'm also the executive director of Empowerment House. Love what I do. I definitely represent Second Chance Month. Shout out to all those in the room as well. I do have a couple announcements. One, as far as the resource guide for the MCRC, we are definitely looking to update it within this week or two. If any organization has yet to know what the resource guide is, please share one of the representatives in the room. For those who are, just assure that your information is updated with far as contacts. Upcoming events for Empowerment House, on behalf of the Office of Returning Citizens, we have an anger management workshop May 5th. Mental Health Fair, May 9th, which we are actually looking for individuals to table. So if you are interested in tabling for the Mental Health Fair, Mr. Say is in there. I think he's right. You got the blue shirt on. Raise your hand, Mr. Say. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hola, my bad. And we have workforce soft skill development starting on May 19th. And this is all on behalf of the Mercer County, that's on behalf of the Office of Returning Citizens. We are looking for individuals for that. I know the young lady spoke on the rescue mission losing funding. This is a great opportunity for your population off parole to connect with the Office of Returning Citizens. We do have those free services. Again, some of the Office of Returning Citizens representative is actually in the room, so feel free to reach out to them for more information. Last announcements, Empowerment House do offer wraparound services supported by the Mercer County Dixon Department, where we offer intakes, warm handoff to organizations such as McBoss, Transportation, Penn Medicine. These are just examples of what we do. So if you ever run into a client that may need these services, feel free to reach out to Empowerment House. Phone number is 609-665-2143. And we do provide transportation to services as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pivot back to Valicia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Valicia Desir. I am the managing partner of the Glory Firm. I have partnered with Mercer County and Chase Bank and different local organizations to provide expungement services for those folks who have a criminal record who are looking to clear their record. So please reach out to me at the Glory Firm. My website is thegloryfirm.com. On socials, I am also the Glory Firm. If you need any support or your program participants need any support in processing their expungement applications and clearing out their record, I'm happy to be here and happy Wednesday.
Megan?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am from New Jersey Hospital Association, and we provide unbiased application support for both Get Covered and New Jersey Family Care, which is really important for a lot of our returning citizens that are transitioning to jobs that may not provide health insurance. And a lot of people don't realize that when they make too much money for New Jersey Family Care and they don't get insurance with their new jobs, they can get health insurance through Get Covered New Jersey. And so I provide a lot of that assistance, application assistance and education for our New Jersey residents. And I also wanted to make an announcement that on May 5th at actually the place that you all are sitting, or the people that are not virtually sitting, we are providing a mental health first aid training, which is great for resumes. And that information is actually in the lobby there, but you can always reach out to me and I'd be happy to assist in signing up anyone as well.
Thank you for that. Kirsten?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse from all the pollen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lambent Data, and we are really happy to be part of the Mercer County Reentry Coalition. Our software is geared to equip people in challenging circumstances and the social service and healthcare providers who are walking alongside people in those challenging circumstances. So that includes reentry and also recovery from substance use disorder. And we are leaning in, especially in that recovery area, which obviously does have some overlap with reentry. So please let me know if you'd like any more information. And thanks again so much.
Thank you so much. I don't think there's anybody else on right now. We'll transition at this time to the next bit of our agenda, which is the opportunity to introduce our fair chance hiring panelists. We're really excited to have this topic and this particular focus for the last year, better part of the year. As a coalition, we've been very hyper-focused on working and addressing fair chance hiring at a systemic level here in the county, as well as at state level. And part of that work has allowed us to really seek out guidance and having conversations with experts, employers, different organizations that have been really focused on creating, researching, and really creating pathways for fair chance employment. And so with that same spirit is which we focus today is as we celebrate Second Chance Month or Reentry Awareness Month, we thought it was apropos to bring together a panel of experts to help us delve further into this particular topic, give us knowledge, understanding, help us grapple with this, hopefully come up with some solutions, like, evolving solutions for us here in our county. I think everybody that is here, in one way, shape, or the other, we know that this is one of the big issues that we must address, amongst other things. Housing, there's a plethora of things. But creating employment pathways and career pathways is such an important task for us and a life-changing cause for those who have been impacted in our system. And so with that, we thought it'd be great to have some of our great panelists here with us today. But to help us with that, with this conversation today, I've asked Randall Toby as one of his many names, but my good friend Rand Toby from Breakfast with the Boys, and I want to say formerly from Father Center, to help us moderate this conversation today. And so with that, we're really glad and happy to have our panelists. We have Fred in the house today. We have Matt, we have Melissa, and then we have Brianna online with us. So we'll do proper introductions with your full names and everything in a moment here, but I just wanted to give that opportunity. Can we just give them a round of applause for today? Brand, you have the floor. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
That was kind of weak. If you're grateful that you woke up this morning, let's try this again. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Now I feel the love. Over 600,000 individuals are released from federal and state prisons every single year. 95% re-enter their community. That is why these conversations are extremely important, because everyone here knows someone in their family, a friend, or someone in their community that has dealt with having a criminal background. So we're going to introduce the great guest today. I'm going to ask each of you to take about 60 seconds to tell us a little bit about you. And since about 10 minutes ago, I got the names and I don't want to pronounce the name incorrectly, I will try. I'm going to ask you to say your name correctly if I say it wrong. Is that okay? So first, our first guest panelist is the amazing Melissa Rico. How well did I do?
You were very, very close. Ricky-O. Very close. Good job.
Thank you so much. So if you could be so kind, take about 60 seconds to tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I would love to. I am Melissa Ricky-O. I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio, but I work on the national level for the Center for Employment Opportunities. I am their Director of Inclusive Hiring. CEO, as you may know, is the nation's largest reentry nonprofit, and we have 30 offices in 12 different states across the country that focus on transitional job opportunities for folks coming out of incarceration. I manage a team of project managers who works on the other side of the equation. We are really working in that field building space to increase awareness about fair chance hiring, to work directly with employers on advisory consulting contracts to help them do a better job of fair chance hiring, to make them aware of the laws and ordinances by which they must abide, and to really create some tools for both the justice impacted talent and the employers to work together. I'm justice impacted myself and have been working in workforce development now for about 15 years. Got my start when I was asked to go back into the very prison where I had previously been incarcerated and teach job readiness for a culinary and hospitality program. So very glad to be here today.
Melissa, thanks so much for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Our second wonderful panelist is the amazing Fred. Fred, I'm going to try your name as well. Fred Amicio.
Close. Well, not really.
Pretend, Fred, we're in front of an audience. Work with me here. Work with me.
Fred Mcrc.
Mr. Mcrc, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I work for a company by the name of Data Screening. We do pre-employment background checks for companies, organizations, any employer. I've been with the company for 13 years. I have a degree in criminal justice. I also have a degree in psychology. In fact, I interned when I was in college in a prison. First became very scary. By the time my class was over, I was high-fiving guys, like, when you get out, we're gonna get drinks. So it was also a little, you see the other side of it. Most of the people who came in, one of my jobs was initial intake interviews. So it's when, I think the latest statistic was 85% of people commit crimes when they're either drunk, high on drugs. So you get to see them when they're off and they realize what they've done. So it was pretty wild. But when I started with the company, I would always be perplexed when a candidate would say, "Oh, that wasn't me," on a background check. And I said, "Well, why don't these people do a background check on themselves before they go for employment?" And to my knowledge, there was really no place to do that. I mean, they could reach out to a background check company, but how do you do that? So what I did was I forgot to mention this before, I started a company called Selfie Background Check. And you could also look it up by doaselfie.com, where you could go on the site and run a professional background check, just like a company will on you. One of the things it also has on there, you could see there's a list of staffing companies all over the country. You can just click on the state and it will come up. It also has a list of expungement attorneys on there by state. So you can click on it, click on the state, and that will come up. And the whole purpose of the site was to give the candidate the perspective of what their rights are, what they can do. Just because you have a record doesn't mean you can't get that job. In fact, the shift right now has been more in favor of the employee with a criminal record as more than it used to be, which is great. Because, when you think about it, if someone who does have a criminal record can't get a job, they're going to have to find some other way to feed themselves. And if it's not by job, it could be illegal activity. So that was one of the things I really wanted to do, because I just felt like there wasn't enough information for a candidate to understand their rights.
Fred, thank you so much. I know I have this correct. Mr. Matt Negron,
You're good.
1 out of 3 is not bad. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself, sir.
And, for you, maybe a little too much information, but my background is on facility management, but I also did 15 years in furniture. I'm very new to all this, so please do not call me an expert by any means. I'm learning everything. I'm just happy to be in the room. I have hired people in my past life when I was in furniture that were just as impacted. I didn't know about any organizations outside of it. I just was trying to find good candidates that worked well. And they did work out really, really well and had great experiences. And right now we're trying to do the same thing with the company Flockhart that I'm with. So my role there is VP of sales, but I'm really second in command. So I do management, working directly with the clients, hiring, any hat I got to put on any day I'm doing. So I'm interacting with our clients who co-hire with us. So the goal is we need to find candidates, and just because they're just as impacted doesn't mean they won't qualify to be on a facility. A lot of it is getting our client to feel comfortable with that individual. If they are hiring with us, they need to know what good and the bad and how we're going to make sure that we're taking liability. And that's a lot of it is more they're on our payroll, we're paying them, we provide benefits to them. So if they do anything wrong, it reflects back onto us too. It's not just that they're going to the client full time. So learning as I go along, and just excited to be kind of part of it. And then, a little bit from a background standpoint, when I was younger, I did get a little bit of trouble. I did have a very, thankfully, sympathetic judge at that time that allowed me to continue and not have a record. So I do say, for me, is I do understand from at least one wrong decision can quickly alter your path. And I did see that as I was younger. So
Thank you so much, Matt. Rihanna, it's your turn. I'm going to take a stab at it. Rihanna Larandu.
Very close, Rahana Lorando.
I'm working on it. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Really happy to be here. I'm with an organization called More Than Our Worst. I'm the co-founder and director of employer development. I've been in this work for about a decade now, and I think I had a unique entry point into Fair Chance hiring as both the employer. So I started by building a hiring program from the ground up within an organization. That organization happened to be a background check company. So I learned a lot about background checks, about all of the different kind of complicated and nuanced issues surrounding background screening in this population, while hiring everything from the smallest misdemeanors to the most serious felonies within our organization. Took that organization from 0% fair chance talent representation to over 5% in a company of about 250 at that time. In doing that work at that time, there wasn't a lot of expertise or guidance that was easy for employers to find, like myself, who were trying to build this program. So when I left the organization, I wanted to do that for employers. So we built an organization that works nationally to help employers kind of avoid the pitfalls that I had to go through, to create different strategies and tactics for building really robust and successful fair chance hiring practices, starting from that lived experience and tested over time with employers across the US. So very excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you so much. Panelists, let's begin. The first question, since we ended with you, Rihanna, is going to be, what are the steps that an employer should take to implement a Fair Chance Act to make sure the policy is effective?
Yes, I think it's a good place to start of thinking about what steps employers need to take to have a robust hiring practice that is really letting good qualified talent in the door and mitigating real versus imagined risk and kind of understanding the nuanced differences between those things. At More Than Our Worst, we have a set of recommendations that I'd be happy to share with this group at the end, where we have kind of 5 core steps that employers can take. The first one is really understanding your federal, state, and local guidelines. So understanding that at the federal level, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, that is a body that really governs a lot of kind of discrimination potential in hiring decisions, doesn't recommend blanket bans on any types of convictions, right? So if that is the federal level guidance, we probably should be thinking strategically about that at the local level or at the employer level. Understanding if you're in a ban the box state. New Jersey is in a ban the box state, so making sure you're not asking questions about conviction histories before a conditional offer is being made, whether it's casually or within a formal interview process, making sure you're staying compliant there. And city by city, there might be even more robust protections for this talent pool. So first, know what you're working with in terms of your federal, state, and local guidelines. Second, understanding what internal policies you already have that are HR policies that are changeable, that are tweakable, that you can sharpen, versus what a legitimate, difficult barrier to hiring this talent pool might be, like occupational licensing requirements. So I think most folks in the employer with the employers that I work with actually don't have a ton of legally enforced barriers. They have a lot of self-imposed HR policies that can be changed. Understand the difference and start to work through what you can change versus where your hands are kind of tied. Third, finding your business motivation. There's a lot of benefits to hiring from this talent pool. There's data that suggests higher retention rates, higher loyalty rates, equal, if not exceeding performance. There's also federal bonding that you can take on if you're employing this talent pool, and work opportunity tax credits where you can really get a nice tax refund from hiring from this talent pool. I say find your business motivation because I think at the scale that we're talking about, there's 70 to 100 million people in the US who have a criminal record. Someone mentioned earlier that 600,000 people are coming home every day. Of this group, there's a 27% unemployment rate. So we really don't have the time to act like this is something charitable that we get to choose if we're going to buy into or not. This is an economic crisis at a large scale. So we actually have to find the business motivations and the strategies to do it, not spend more time deliberating over if this is something that we're going to take up or not. We're not at a point where that's a choice. We just need to get good strategies and get to work. Also working with a skilled talent partner, that's something that really helped me when I was the employer, having a CEO or someone else in the local area that has a pool of candidates that you can draw from and that you can build a relationship where you're sharing kind of your needs, what you're looking for, the company culture, and really get a robust candidate pipeline. And lastly, adopt a hiring policy and framework for this hiring practice that you can stick to and look at quarterly or annually and tweak. That's also something at More Than Our Worst that we would be very happy to give a discount to for this group, of having a blueprint of what a robust hiring policy can look like that you can adopt. So I know that was a lot to open with, but that's what we've been recommending at the national scale.
Thank you so much. Well said. Melissa, the same question. How can an organization or a company make these policies a lot more effective, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's important to start small and not to try to, bite off everything at once. And Rahana had a very good point to try to find what your motivation is. Are you looking to quickly increase your talent pipeline? There are certain actions that you can take to do that. Are you looking to be a better member of society? There are things that you can do to do that. And I think working with trusted partners is the best way to do that. Organizations like Rahana's, organizations like Center for Employment Opportunities, because we are the subject matter experts in that field. And so don't take that burden on yourself. There are people who have walked this path before and are glad to share some of that insight. There are also a lot of resources that aren't behind a paywall and aren't requiring paid contracts with organizations. We have a website called the Inclusive Hiring Hub, the Impact Hiring Hub, impacthiringhub.org. And it's a wealth of information. It has all of the research studies about the true risk of hiring from this talent population. It has information about background checks. It has information about all kinds of other employers who are doing this. Maybe find a partner, a role model, someone who you can model yourself after, get some insight from, and find some champions within the field. My other recommendation would really be to make sure that you are changing the culture of your organization instead of just putting a Band-Aid fix on something. I did mention, a quick move to fill a talent pipeline. That's all well and good, but if you're not changing the minds of the people who work for you and developing a sense of empathy within the culture of your organization, it's not going to work. It's not going to be long lasting. And so really kind of understanding and addressing the implicit bias that exists for this population and others that feed into this population, whether it's race or gender or any of those other classes that are discriminated against. So, really get some expert knowledge about that bias that does exist.
Thank you so much. Brianna, what mistakes are companies and organizations making when it comes to the Fair Chance Act and how they implement it?
Yeah, I mean, I think building off of right where Melissa was, I think one of the biggest mistakes that businesses are making, not on purpose, but it's just something that's in the water that we have to address, is assuming the worst of this talent pool. There was a UCLA study that we contributed to in 2020 that really proved that the number one barrier to employment for this talent pool wasn't risk, wasn't lack of skill set, wasn't lack of opportunity, it was stigma. And so, for example, I apologize in advance for some of the lewdness of the comment I'm going to share in this story, but I was working with a large staffing firm. We were doing an individualized assessment clinic. The CEO was in the room, and I had an anonymized record of one of the guys that I had hired who was fantastic. He still works at my organization that I was at to this day, almost 10 years later. And he had a violent charge. We were kind of helping them sift through the nature test and really making an assessment of if this person was legitimate or if there was a legitimate risk present. And the CEO got up and said, this person seems great, but I can't risk him coming in and shooting up the place. He had nothing in his background on gun violence. The charge that he had was 25 years old. And so there was this in this kind of lab, simulated lab, there was a creation of a boogeyman from watching too much Law and Order that led to a decision that materially impacted someone's life and would have kept a very strong candidate out of that organization. So that is, I think, baseline, the biggest mistake that employers make is letting our feelings, letting our stigmas, letting our judgments guide decisions. We can have those feelings, it's normal. We can have those things that come up. We've been socialized to do so, but we have to actually be rigorous in how we assess what is real versus what is our feelings and what impacts employment versus what we just don't like. Some of that happens when we have too much information. So when I worked at Checker, which is a background check company, one of the things we did was ensure that you're not pulling more information on a person than you legitimately need to assess what role you're looking at. With anyone else, we wouldn't say on the front of your resume, put all of your skills, and on the back, please list all of the worst mistakes you've ever made, everything you've ever done that you're ashamed of, and we'll decide if we want you after that. It's not relevant to the conversation. It's not how we treat other people, and it actually clouds things too much so that we start making these decisions based on moralistic triggers instead of legitimate data that applies to a job, you know? I think there's also a bit of misconceptions on what restrictions there are for employers. So, kind of harkening back to really understanding what legitimate restrictions are there versus not. And I think the last couple things I'll mention is if you are going to run background checks using a certified CRA, so a consumer reporting agency that is governed by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that makes sure that the screener is only pulling information that is accurate and reportable. There's really good compliance around how you store data and how you destroy it at the appropriate time, ensuring confidentiality, all of that. You can go on backgroundchecks.com and pull a bunch of weird stuff on people, and that is not a good practice for employment decisions if you are going to use background checks. So if that's something you want to do, a CRA is great. And the last thing is just have a plan. Understand, like Melissa said, start small, start with one department, one team, a couple of roles, and make a plan. When I first started in this work, we did not have a plan. We had an internship that was an absolute disaster. We hired, I think, like 15 people for 3 months and we let all of them go but one. But we didn't stop. We weren't like, oh, well, this doesn't work. We didn't have a plan. It wasn't appropriate for the company or for the talent. So we put our heads together, got some experts in the room, and made a more robust plan. And that completely changed our outcomes. So that work with people in your networks that can help you set that kind of plan. And I think you'll be off to a good start.
Thank you so much. Melissa, your turn. What mistakes do you think organizations make when it comes to the Fair Chance Act based on your experience?
Yeah, I think there is this perception that we have to make big dramatic changes, and that's just not the case. You know, we're not asking organizations to go from doing a full federal fingerprint background check to not doing background checks at all. We're not asking them to just, you know, swing the barn door open and welcome all. Small changes can make a huge difference. You know, changing the look back period from 10 years to 7 years might increase your talent pipeline incredibly. You know, reducing the amount of misdemeanors, really using that nature time nature that the EEOC talks about to define which convictions we're going to look for. If I'm hiring for a driver, of course I'm going to look for driving infractions or a DUI. But if I'm hiring for someone to be a customer service answer phones in a customer service call center, I don't need to know what their driving record was. And so really be particular about that. I think it's also important to deliberately create a legacy style program. Too often we see employers who have someone, one individual or a department perhaps, that for maybe a personal reason becomes a champion of fair chance hiring. Maybe they have a relative or a friend or are personally connected to the justice system in some way. And so they begin to develop that mindset within their area, but it doesn't permeate throughout the whole organization. So I think it needs to be very purposefully spread out through the entire organization. And then lastly, I would say, alluding to Rahana saying that, you know, there were mistakes made in her experience, we can't extrapolate any of those mistakes to this entire population. If we have a bad experience with someone who had a background, that doesn't mean that everyone with a background is going to be a bad employee. We wouldn't say if someone with blue eyes came onto the factory floor and got in an argument with their coworker that we're no longer going to hire people with blue eyes because clearly they're all dysfunctional. We wouldn't make that assumption. And so we can't do that about this population either.
Melissa, thank you so much. One last question for both of you, and either one of you can answer it first. What can a person with a criminal background do to make a job sustainable so they can be there long term and stay for several years as opposed to just a few months because they're frustrated and they leave?
Yeah, I'm happy to go since I'm still off mute. I think there are things that both sides of the equation can do. I think the employer can have a level of understanding and support for some of the unique circumstances of every employee. We often tell employers that implementing the processes and policies that we are asking them to implement will make them a better employer for all of their employees, not just the justice impacted. So have some flexibility for not only the justice impacted individual who needs to go to probation and report, but also to the mom who might need to pick their children up early from daycare, or the dad whose kids are sick and need to be picked up. Just have that flexibility and that versatility. From the employee's standpoint, I think it's important that we understand what our own talents are and to understand our audience when we're talking about those. I tell justice impacted talent all the time that just by having navigated the criminal legal system, they have developed transferable skills that would be valuable to any employer. They have developed problem management. They can walk into a room and feel the energy and understand if there is going to be a problem here and how to maybe avoid it or not. Survival skills that have become imperative and communication skills. But they have to connect those dots for that potential employer. They have to be able to verbalize. And a lot of that is done exactly what we're doing today, which is storytelling. Have some of those storytelling opportunities ready. Be ready to talk about the time. You don't have to name that it was in the prison yard, but you can say there was a time that I was involved in a conflict with two other individuals and this is how I resolved it. So don't self-identify, but also connect the dots for that employer.
Absolutely. Please.
Thanks for that, Melissa. I'll try and just be additive. And I will say I don't think I can speak to the candidate side because I'm not justice impacted. And I think, this population is not a monolith. I've worked with dozens of folks, and the answer would be different for every single one. I do think one of the trends I've seen across folks coming out, for me, I've typically worked with folks who went in very young, spent 10 to 15 years plus, and came out, and I was working with them on their first job. One of the things that is common with that population, that specific demographic, is something that I kind of call catching up syndrome, is wanting things to progress really, really, really fast, expecting promotions at 3, 6, 9, 12-month marks, and having some frustration. So I try and encourage, and I appreciate Melissa's framing. I would encourage this for all people who are just trying to figure out how they advance their career, of what are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals? How do you take your transferable skills to get to that first step and then start to move towards that? Everything's not going to happen at once for anyone. And if you've had that much time taken from you, it might feel extremely urgent. That doesn't mean time's going to move faster for you. So how do we kind of work together to do that? From the employer side, I am a big advocate to create a hiring practice, not a hiring program. This population is not any different than anyone else in terms of being human beings who have skill sets that we're putting to work. I don't find it helpful to have some kind of front-facing program where everyone with a record is kind of on display or in a different part of the organization or have different restrictions. It's really important for people to have longevity, to not feel othered, ostracized, or even, what's the other word for that? That's in a more kind of weirdly positive light. Almost like put on a tokenized, like put on a pedestal. We need to create a culture where there is one workforce. Some of the people in that workforce have a criminal record, some don't. All we're doing here is finding the right people for the right jobs. And then I think the only other thing or the two other things that are sort of in the nexus between the candidate side and the employer side, I've also found it helpful, especially if people have served a long time in an institution that is fundamentally punitive and hierarchical, like a prison. Having a non-managerial support person for the talent. Sometimes it can be hard for people to express conditions of parole or things that are difficult. If you've been in an environment where mistakes are met with punishment for a very long time, it can be difficult to understand that you're in a different psychologically safe environment. So sharing honestly with a manager can be very difficult if there's perceived power. So if there's someone else on your team who can be kind of a support person for the talent when they're coming out, that can be really useful. The last thing I'd say for employers is I encourage people to learn the true political history of the rise of background screening, to understand the motivations behind why this practice has gone from, there used to only be background checks for people in law enforcement, for people in high-ranking public office, and now it's a widespread practice that I don't actually think is needed in most cases. There's an excellent book that's come out by Melissa Birch called The Criminal Records Complex that digs into some of the particularities of how this process gained popularity. And I think it's important for employers to understand, like we started this conversation, what are the systemic issues? What are the societal issues? What's underneath the fact that this country has this many people with records and this many people out of work as a result? It's not because we live in Gotham. It's because we have really deeply rooted social issues that we need to solve at the base. And this type of knowledge helps us understand that and change our hiring practices.
Thank you so much. Can we please give a round of applause to the first panelists? Thank you both so much. We greatly appreciate you both. Several years ago, or actually when I lived in New York City, my first exposure working with individuals in the criminal justice system is I worked with an organization called Grant and Associates. We had individuals that came home from prison, and my job, after 15 years of doing corporate sales, was to help individuals, men and women, get a job with a criminal background. And I had the exposure that changed my life. Even though like most of you, you know someone in your family or a friend or a relative that has had that issue, I helped a gentleman that spent 25 years in jail get a job with the Parks Department. He came into my office and we cried together. That told me that there are so many people with a great heart that have the ability. And from that day forward, I was blessed to decide I'm going to be an advocate. So I just want to share that with you, how my personal experience changed and concept based on knowing people, touching their hand, shaking their hand, and understanding their story. Okay? Well, Matt, you and I, how you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Would you be so kind, Matt, and share a specific story or lesson that shaped your view on how to be fair with someone with a criminal background or with someone who had made a mistake involved in the criminal justice system?
So I think for me, again, not knowing what I was doing and just hiring people that were just as impacted before, it was more of a personal experience. And a lot of it was, so my dad was just as impacted and went, and a few times, a few different things. So growing up, you know, he had a hard time getting a job. And I remember him interviewing and going through everything and really, really trying. And he would come home, somebody was really defeated. And I think if he was given an opportunity, his path would have been really different. And I think it would have been a very different trajectory for a family. So I do think when Melissa was talking earlier, when you're talking about, you know, you're taking a job away from someone's family, like that's how I kind of perceived it. Is I was interviewing someone, being anyone, I was like, yeah, like that could have been me as a kid, but they could be providing, they could have, you know, a spouse, kids, or different things going on at home, and you don't know what's going on. So I think for me, is I always just try to understand more of what their intrinsic motivations were and what they're trying to do with their life and where they're trying to move forward. And I think that's when we started interviewing people. Previously at my old company, like they never looked at anyone that was just as impacted. And I was able to start making that change in the role that I was in. And then with Flockhart now, a lot of it is they never hired anybody just as impacted. It's so I think now we're really looking at it in, you know, both myself and the owner, it's been a new perspective. And she doesn't know any of this background about myself, but it does come from a place of like genuine care.
And we won't tell, don't worry, Matt, we got it.
But it is from a place of genuine care, like understanding of like, hey, growing up in that household, seeing my dad struggle and not be able to get a job really, you know, it was not easy. So that's, for me, that is the true personal connection back to it of, you know, can we help somebody provide better for the family and give back to their community and have that second chance that they deserve.
And we all would like to thank you for being so open and honest, because it's not always easy. So what did you do specifically to make sure that that company had an impact? What kind of changes internally did you guys do?
We did look at our HR policies. So that was a big part of it, was identifying what we could change in the hiring practices. And I think previously some of the policies were if anything came up on a background check, they were automatically disqualified. So we did change that as well. We made sure that, you know, that they were giving a look of where they can contribute, what they can do, because we did have a factory in New Jersey. So we're looking for factory workers, we're looking for drivers, we're looking for installers that are at our client sites. And all of those things are great. I think we tried building programs. Same thing with Flockhart right now is a lot of our job posts we have up. It's not just on the job. I usually have it posted where it's a tiered system of, it's almost like you're going to start here, within 9 to 12 months you'll get to that next point, and then within 18 to 24 points you're here. And that's really how we get people to start working with the clients, because if you can prove yourself out on the factory floor, doing, you know, pulling parts, doing inventory, and then if you can start driving and meeting with clients and doing installations, then we can trust you probably on site because you've had higher interaction. So to the point earlier of, you know, time, they want to catch up really quickly, like for 10, 15 years of lost time. I think we're painting a picture from day one of like, hey, if you are doing the right things, you're working well with us, we're going to get you to those next points. It's not going to be 3 months, but 9 to 12, you can accelerate that next point. And then 18 to 24, you can accelerate that next point. So you're really getting a lot of touch points faster. So we can paint you a really nice 2.5 year picture of this we're going to get to. Each stage gets you more money also. So you're getting more earnings as you go along. And then something that I say we do differently, like for Flockhart, is we provide benefits. So a lot of our competitors, like to some extent, they're just picking up people, hiring them temporarily, doing temps. Our goal is to hire them long-term. So from day, you know, we can provide an actual 401k, we can provide health insurance. So they can pass that on to their family as well. So we're trying to do the right things. You know, it's not from a finance perspective, it's the easiest, no, but we do believe it's the right thing to do.
Thank you so much. One final question. What advice would you give to an employer who might be hesitant to hire somebody that has a criminal background?
For me is, I would tell them they should really reflect on times that they made mistakes, because I don't think anyone's ever been perfect. And, I think a lot of people get to avoid maybe serious consequences. Maybe they got stopped at the wrist, maybe there's just something internal with family. But I do think that when people really think back, like throughout their entire life, like they're probably, oh, it's a stupid decision. Something small. Like, I think a lot of it is you can realize that those little decisions you made in life could have snowballed and eventually came back to haunt you in some capacity. So I don't think enough people think about that. They're like, oh, I don't say they're high and mighty, but a lot of
We
times
understand. Say it. Say it now.
But I really think they kind of sit up on a high horse of, I never had any problems, I did everything right, and they forgot like that one mistake that they made, or there's other things that they did. So for me, it's look at the reflection, look at the people around you. I'm positive that most people, if you talk to your friend group, people around you, they've also made mistakes and errors, and you probably love them deeply. You probably love your family member, your cousin, your friend, like whoever it is, you probably have a lot of love for them, but they probably did something that was pretty dumb that you would have been like, that wasn't the right decision. So I think that's how you gotta look at it, is that person that's coming to you, if they're really looking for a job, they're trying to get hired, I usually think they have, I say, assume that they have the best intent. Assume that they are really trying versus the worst intent, and then that stigma comes up. If you really do assume that everybody has the best intent, and I say the same thing, like when somebody cuts me off in traffic, something happens, I'm like, they're just having a bad day. Like maybe they're rushing to the hospital, or maybe they got into an argument with their spouse. Personally, for me, is I always just assume, believe that they have the best intent at heart, and that they're not doing it on purpose to you because they're.
I love it. I love it. Can we please give Matt a round of applause? Fantastic, Fred. I have a question for you, sir.
Okay.
What are some of the biggest mistakes employers make, and how does the background check influence that employer in hiring someone?
We got time for this? So most of the companies that I speak to, it's gonna be the HR people that are in charge of the hiring, doing the background checks. And it blows my mind that they don't know the laws that pertain to background checks, the proper authorization forms that must be given to each applicant. And the language on the forms is very specific. The types of forms are very specific, and how you give them to the person, the candidate, is very specific. Each one has to be a separate document. You can't include the authorization for the background check on the application for the job. That's a no-no. Get sued. And unfortunately, as Rana, was it? Rihanna. She had mentioned there's a lot of bad players in terms of background check companies. A lot of them are just looking to make money. They're doing, they don't collect live data. So in other words, live data is taken directly from the courthouses, whether it's state or county courthouses. If you're not getting live data, information can be changed, not accurate, and I think that's really important. She mentioned certified CRAs. One of the things you can do is make sure a background check company is accredited by the Professional Background Screening Association. There's approximately, I would say, between 13 to 1,800 background check companies in the United States. There's only 9% that are accredited. Which the accreditation process is a long process. They interview your employees, they check the way you work, the way you gather records. So I would say that's really important. You could open a background check company tomorrow. There's no special license or anything. So that's really important. The other thing I think is not having a hiring policy in place. And that hiring policy can be per position. I think Melissa had mentioned different positions are going to require different types of background checks, obviously. So one of the 3 criteria the Fair Credit Reporting Act states that you must take in consideration is the severity of the crime, how long ago it took place, and how it relates to the job that they're going to be performing. So, and in my head, it's almost like it's a layered process. So, and then once if you happen to get a report that does have a conviction, now the law states you have to take an individualized assessment when reviewing that criminal record. So there's gotta be other factors involved. The other, one last thing, I think a lot of companies do not do. They don't follow some of the pre-background check laws. So for example, in the state of New Jersey, you cannot mention background check or do a background check to a candidate until the first initial interview, till that takes place. Now, in New York, across the river, it's a whole different ballgame. They're a little bit more strict. You can't mention background checks until you make an offer of employment to the candidate. And even then, if you're doing, say, employment or education verifications along with the criminal record on somebody, the employer must first do that part of it before they do the criminal portion of it. So in other words, the laws are meant to have the employer take a real good look at the other qualities of someone in case they do have a criminal record. And a lot of these companies aren't following that procedure. Unfortunately, the enforcement of these laws is litigation. There's no police so, part of what I thought of when I made selfie background check is to make these candidates aware of, their rights, lawsuits. You can sue employers if they don't follow these proper steps. If they don't have the right forms, the wording, you could sue them. So I think that's really important and companies really have to, take a look at their policies.
Well, Fred, how can companies become less over-reliant on background checks and actually look at that person? What changes you think need to be made?
I think the crazy focus on technology, I mean, I think we can all agree, it took out the human touch on pretty much every aspect of business, of employment. I mean, it used to be an interview. That was how you hired. Now, everything's done electronically. You mentioned human touch. I'm in charge of our sales, and I tell our sales reps, if you have a potential client that's around the area, go visit them. When you touch someone's hand, when you see them, that's like 10 phone calls. So I think we really have to kind of bring it back home, have people come in instead of doing everything online. And now with technology, so many things can be faked. There's a lot of identity fraud, people, candidate fraud, they call it. But I think that would be have a team of people that actually reach out to these candidates. I think that would be the best way.
What could the government do, or even state and city agency do, to make it more fair across the board when it comes to doing background checks, in your opinion?
Well, I think, like I mentioned, there's no agency that actually polices it. I mean, you have the FTC and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I mean, maybe the government can make an agency, I don't know what your political opinions are, but we beefed up ICE when, that was the whole purpose. Why can't we do that with something like this? I think that, and just like everyone mentioned, I mean, you have so many people who have criminal records or incarcerated coming back into the work area, and yet we don't have any employees. Well, I think there's a perfect mix right there. So I think the government could step up a little bit. And then I also think that the states, every state has their own laws regarding background checks. They call it the ban the box, which is a general term where you can't ask anyone about their criminal record. You think about, like, someone mentioned 25 years. Do you really care if someone, I mean, do you really care what they did 25 years ago as opposed to now? You're not going to hire someone. It was 25 years ago. You're a different person. So I think that's really important.
Fred, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our panelists for being here today with a round of applause. So what we want to do is we want to open it up to some questions to everyone. Does anyone have any questions for our panelists? If you'd like to ask a question, could you please raise your hand? Anything you heard that sparked something, please, Ed.
For Rihanna, you said there were 5 steps that you wanted to discuss. Could you go through those?
Yeah, so we have a worksheet, a document that I'd be happy to share with this group, but the 5 steps are understanding your federal, state, and local guidelines, understanding your existing internal policies and where things can be sharpened and changed versus firm legal barriers like occupational licensing. Finding your business motivation. So, what are the kind of strategies and tactics that you can use to enhance your business by adding this talent pool to your pipeline? Working with a skilled talent partner like CEO to find those candidate pools and build a feedback loop on kind of finding the right candidates for your business. And then lastly, really adopting a clear hiring framework or policy that you check and adjust every year or quarterly. For example, when I was the employer in this work, we had our kind of individualized assessment practices and criteria of what records we looked at, what records we didn't, how we conducted our individualized assessments, and we reviewed those at least twice a year. So we had a policy and a framework in place to keep it consistent across candidates, but we interrogated that policy regularly so that we could learn from it.
Thank you so much. Does any of our members have any other questions for any of the panelists?
Are you able to get everyone's contact information?
Can we get everyone's contact information? I guess we can speak to leadership.
We will share.
We will share.
Thank you.
I do have a question. What is the name of this company?
Oh, data screening. We've been in business over 30 years. Women owned, my mother-in-law started the company 30 years ago.
Nice.
Screening.com,
That's correct.
because I was just trying to look up. Do a selfie.
Oh, if you can www.doaselfie.com, it should come up, or selfie background check. Again, that's like the sister company.
And just a reminder, we're gonna make sure that everybody gets an email with everyone's contact information as well. Without further ado, I want to bring up the leadership, or do you have questions? Well, please.
I'm excited to learn about having the ex-offender be an advocate for themselves.
Mm.
And in order to do that, I'm working with a young man who is, he's changing his life, he's really done some great stuff. He has outstanding questions about his original charges, and he needs to get that grant.
Tell them, call me.
I will tell him.
Yeah.
This man is, and what somebody said, but be able to tell your story. And know they tell it boldly with great confidence. And so I have a process where I help people come up with their core transferable strengths. They go to 20 different people and they ask them to give positive words. They own those words, and then they have to give you examples where they did that in their life. And then they come up with a perfect thing. That shifts. Then they know who they are, and they become empowered and stronger. And that's the major piece that's been missing for people. They tell them, oh, well, you probably have to work in a factory or something. They don't let them all of the gifts and who they are and be able to tell their story.
Yeah, I think people with criminal records, I think knowing the process of background checks, what may or may not show up, gives them confidence when they go for a job in the interview. And the thing was, again, the lack of knowledge, because it just wasn't out there. Some states you can't go back. And if you've been incarcerated, 15 years ago, and you're applying for a job in New York, they only go back 7 years. So that's going to affect how you interact. The other thing too is I always make recommendations is never lie, never lie, admit to it and practice your explanation. We tell, everybody to practice your interviewing skills, no matter if you have a record or not. Well, the same thing goes for people who are incarcerated. Practice that pitch so it sounds very genuine and comes across well. Yeah.
And they have to know, and it's not you give them Myers-Briggs or something else, and I say, well, you'll be good at this. They don't know it that way. This man, Charles Handy, 1989, said, go to 20 people, he said, steal this. And ask them to give you one positive word about yourself. You collect those positive words, you group them into 4 or 5 that make the most sense to you, that you resonate with, and then that's how you talk about who you are. I'm a resilient, I'm an organized, and whatever. But you have to give 2 examples where you did that. So that's how you tell your story. And then you know your purpose. And then people have a whole different frame of reference. And they're not useless. They're not their crime. They're not their stigma. They're a lot of them are much more resilient. I remember I worked in outplacement, big corporate CEOs when they lost their job. Their whole identity was gone. Yeah, they didn't know how, they didn't have resiliency. So there's a whole way that these people have had the opportunity to, every problem has a gift in it. Right? So you have to find them and use them. And if they own that about themselves and they get the support that they need, then they can go forward and be really great employees. So I think we need to encourage them to do that.
We have time for one more question online or in person. Does anyone else have a question? Ms. Taylor, you always have a question. No?
I do,
I know, I said Ms. Taylor.
I'm fired up because I don't really know where to start, but thank you for your comment because I'm very big on trying to help individuals advocate for themselves so they can understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So my question is more so surrounding like, what are some ways when individuals are encountering hiring managers and things like that? I know you mentioned like being knowledgeable and things like that. That's one, but it's just like there's just so many different policies and processes and different hiring. So I'm just curious to know like, what are some ways that individuals can maybe kind of, I don't know, advocate for themselves or kind of be ahead when it comes to, interviewing for jobs and things like that. I'm interested in more like the weeds of what that will look like, especially from a legal standpoint, if you have, some thoughts on that. I know, yeah, I'm my question right. That's perfect.
All right. It's difficult, obviously, but I think communication is the thing. I think training is the thing because, if you're not able to express yourself, to show your energy, you're not going to get the job. And I think also becoming forthcoming. I thought about this, and I remember I had. I'm part of an organization called the New Jersey Staffing Alliance, and I tried to get a client of ours to join this group, and I did it. And the CEO actually became on the board for the New Jersey Staffing Alliance.
Nice.
And I knew him, and I knew his colleague better, but I got him on the board with us. Great relationship. He started doing background checks with us. So I don't know, a few years goes by, and my friend who works with him sends me an email stating that this guy was indicted on federal charges. I'm like, oh. So now I'm like, what do? Do I tell the board about this guy? He's on our board. We can't have this. So sure enough, that board meeting, he resigns and says he has, he's going. He said he's taking on an endeavor, business endeavor. I was like, yeah, sure. So after that, he was gone, and months go by, and I told the board about it. He didn't seem too concerned because he was gone already. So I would say, oh gosh, I don't know, about a year later, I see on his LinkedIn page, that he switched to another job. And keep in mind, we did the background checks for his company. His company went under. We get a call from a company who was about to hire him and sent us his background check. But they forged it. They put a different background check company. They put different dates. And this guy, so I told the guy who was trying to hire him, I said, this is fake. This isn't even our reports. And he goes, and the guy still hired him.
Aww.
Lost that job, came to another job. We get the same exact background check just a few weeks ago. Now, on the other hand, I met a gentleman in a networking event. He does HR consulting. Me and him have a good relationship going on probably 6-7 years. And after about 6-7 months, he sent me a few clients. I just, Googled him. Come to find out, this guy used to be a mayor here in New Jersey. He's also an attorney, does financial planning for people. He got indicted for embezzling like $700,000 from his clients. Now, the other side of that is when I went on to his website, it says about us, about him. He puts it all there,
Oh, wow.
which I was blown away. And I think being forthcoming is very important, and showing, I mean, you can look at all the statistics. It says that, if you hire someone who's been incarcerated, who has a criminal record, they're gonna perform better than someone who doesn't. They know that, they know
They appreciate
eyeballs
the
are on
opportunity.
them, they want to do better. But sorry to take so long. That was-
Okay, can I say one more thing?
Yes, Ms. Taylor,
I'm
of
sorry,
course.
I'm sorry, one more thing. So, I want to add to what you just said. I'm so passionate about this. And I was, talking to a hiring manager. And she said that she was hired for a position with her company. And there was a guy in front of her, head bowed, hands clearly, like, formerly incarcerated individual. And she's looking at the resume, and she throws it away. She's like, why should I hire you? Right? I hate that question because I'm like, well, because I need a job. You know what I mean? But like, yeah. So, but his response was, because I want to work harder than anyone you have, because I have everything to lose.
Yeah.
So she threw the resume away and she said, I don't hire resumes, I hire men. And years later, he's now VP of her operations.
Wow.
Now, question, and it's a little bit audacious. This is me just coming from like a perspective of like just ideas. And anybody who can feel free to answer. We have protected classes for discrimination. Okay? Now, I'm very well versed in history. We need not to go down that road. However, do you think, right, when somebody pays their debt to society, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. And that's supposed to come out to a second sentence, right? They're supposed to be able to have opportunity, in my mind, to achieve a higher quality of life for themselves, feed their family, all that stuff. Do you think it would be audacious or possible to lobby for former incarcerated individuals to be a protected class of discrimination?
I would love to hop in on that if possible. That is a strategy that we've talked about a lot in kind of the national level. And there's various things that I think similarly to ban the box that would be enforceable and supportive around creating a protected class for this talent pool. There's also things that I think would not actually solve the root of the problem, right? Of kind of how we think through discrimination. And part of what comes up already without this talent pool being a protected class is that we know that the people who are the most impacted by the criminal legal system are people who are Black and brown, people who are poor, people who have low education levels, and people who come from areas that have experienced organized abandonment. So already when we're not hiring from this talent pool, all of those existing classes of people that are protected are being exacerbated. But I think actually ideologically and the way that we think about this as a society has to shift. Sure, there are some conditions where someone genuinely had everything at their disposal and truly made a mistake and need to kind of transform. The more likely instance in the US is that people's material conditions are untenable on a mass scale that leads to crimes of survival, that leads to substance addiction, that leads to desperate situations. And one of the things that we do at our organization is we run a reentry simulation. So for 2 hours, you're put in the shoes of someone who has is coming home. And I did this with the most privileged people I know. And within 2 hours, half of them were in jail. They were doing bus ticket hustles. One of them robbed the pawn shop. Like people's conditions changed and their behavior changed. So I say that to say, do I think I've been very excited and have almost like a romanticized idea of this talent pool being a protected class and that would solve all the problems. But I think we actually have to start concretely and politically thinking about why this country and this country alone has this level of people with criminal records and what are the societal systemic issues at the root of that, right? Because we actually just need to make sure that everyone has what they need. And that's what's going to stop people from having criminal records. That's my opinion, at least.
Look at sis, snaps. All
Now,
around.
give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take some time out to make sure everyone has a chance to network with someone you don't know and say hello to someone you do. But one thing I'm going to say, and I'll go back to what you said, Fred, I've had practice, I do mock interviews for different organizations. Several hundred people And the one thing to align up with you, I tell people is, don't let them just see who you are, make them feel who you are. Because when you appeal to someone's inner spirit, to their personality, their pain, they can relate to you and they'll give you a chance. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring up the leadership of this organization. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your opinion. And we want to say that because of each of you in this room, we're going to make sure things change. And we couldn't do it without you. God bless. Thank you for your time.
While they transitions, if you have not signed the sign-in sheet, please do, to make sure everybody here the count board. More than 300. Oh, yeah, but.
Melissa, I want to say,
Melissa, don't drop yet. Did Rihanna drop? I think she might have.
She did, yeah.
So we're gonna get a quick picture.
We're going to do a quick picture.
Yeah, we will, but it's 6 seconds. Please, Jenna, come up.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. Today is worthy. Oh,
All right. So, really quickly, one, actionable step that we all want to take is, getting involved, with our committees. And before I do that, I wanted to bring, Ms. Porter up. Ms. Porter, come on, get
Hi.
introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, I should say, everyone. My name is Janet Porter. Recently retired March 1st from the city of Trenton. I was the director of the Office of Returning Citizens, and it's so great that we have a staff person from the city of Trenton Office of Mr. Vasquez to be involved in this organization. In my next chapter, I am CEO of an organization called Need to Impact, which will focus on improving the quality of life and opportunities. Hi, Vivian, I just remember who you are. Attorneys from Mayor Palmer's office. That will be focusing on 3 pillars with the justice impacted population first, advocacy and policy. Right now, we are getting involved with a bill that involves parole reform with a national organization. The next pillar will be housing. I worked in my prior life with housing, with homelessness, and also employment for this population. So stay tuned. You'll hear more about us, and we want to be involved in this organization and involve some of you. And thank you so much for the presentation. I took many notes. It was very, very informative. So I'm sure this will be the first of many that we have. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
And he's one of our co-vice chairs for this coalition. So we have some really, really experienced, passionate individuals, and all of you guys are all part of this ecosystem doing this work together. And we're really lucky to have you guys here. And we want to thank all our panelists again, Fred, Matt, Melissa, Brianna, for this coming together on this particular month to do. We almost didn't have this meeting today, but I'm glad we did. And we need everybody, every hands, everyone connected to the work that we're doing here. And just actionable step for us, we launched our MCRC committees. We have Fair Chance Employment Committee with Jeanette leading us out with that. Reentry Resource Guide Committee, you heard one talked about that earlier. Housing Committee, Dr. Turner, the Youth Committee with Maya George leading us out with that. And so we've, last month we were getting ready to kind of start reaching out to some folks, but we have to kind of reorganize some things behind the scenes. But you should be hearing from us in the next week on this. And we'll send this out in the email that went out earlier this morning. If you are interested in being part of the committee, look in that email. You would find a link that would lead you into completing that form for us so we can reach out to you and you can be part of this great work. We do this work together. In order for us, no one is a silo. There's no silos here. If we're going to make change at a systemic level, we all need to come together to do this work together. So we want to thank you guys so much for that. And next month, we do have a vacancy right now in leadership. In one of our roles, one of our core secretaries, we've had one of our members, Taylor, and some others who've shown interest in filling in some of those roles. So if you're interested, we want to obviously put that out again as of as of May, sorry. We will be electing a new core secretary into the MCRC leadership. But we want to thank you guys so much again. Rand, thank you for be part of this. Huge thanks to Terry for getting us this room. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. And anything, I don't know if it's
Group photo.
Group photo, yeah. All right, so we're gonna do our group photos, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, we'll move it over there. Okay, come on, group photos. Melissa, stay on so we can get you on the pictures, okay? All right. She dropped off. Yeah, Brianna dropped. We Photoshop her into it. We'll Photoshop.
Juan, how you doing, Juan?
What's going on, my brother? How you making out, man?
Okay. Okay.
What's going on, Mr. Porter?
All right, let's
What's
get
going
in
on,
the
everybody?
picture. We'll move this table.
Hey, what say that?
All is well, man.
Oh, you at the office?
Yeah, I just got here. I got here late. I had a doctor's appointment.
Miss Moore, you still on the phone?
No.
Miss Moore, can you take this call? I'm looking for mental health services.
How you doing, Felicia? Kirsten?
I think Wanda referred to
Hi, Nanan. How are you?
Kirsten, how you doing?
Hey, Nanan. Hey, hey, everybody. Sorry, my voice is still
Hey, Chris, take off
a little
mute. Make sure you're
raspy.
not on mute. I'll put it on mute.
Thanks so much for your
I see you
presentation.
have a sore throat.
Hi, Juan.
We need to get her off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Melissa, and thank you for staying on here.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Let's go.
We've been in touch.
You as well.
I'm Jeanette.
Hi, Jeanette.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa, for your introduction and the presentation. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. Please feel free to use me as a resource.
Melissa, I came in late. My name is Jenin Baker. I would like to get your information so I can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
I think Melissa, me, you, and Melissa and a couple other, we can probably do a good second chance convention, man.
Absolutely.
Individuals who are, yes, just a little bit shorter.
Yeah, thanks again, Melissa. It was very insightful.
Green, sir, I'm sorry. Can you come around? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Miss Stevens, go behind.
It's smaller.
No, you guys are fine. I just need Miss Stevens. There you go. There you go. Yes.
Say cheese, y'all.
Usually evaluation's about 200.
All right, awesome. And then there was another phone up here, this one.
MCRC, 1, 2, 3.
MCRC. All right, thank you.
Now you need to get over there. Can I take it? You guys.
I got you.
Jennifer, take.
Jennifer? Listen, I was gonna just do around, turn around, just. Oh, you look very bad. Oh, you know, I can do this one, because he was in the other ones. Why you grab the other one?
You look nice. You look nice. Thanks, Jerry.
Hello. They want me getting the picture.
Yeah.
Come on, Bill, this one is. All right, thanks. Get on here.
She's taller, you better.
That's what I'm
You want to trust me.
We're gonna take a few, okay? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One, 2. 1, 2, 3. One more little. Two.
Oh, sorry. You can send it to me.
You sure? All right.
Thank you all so much.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I'm so email me every day. I love Oh, no, you're still there? It's Jane, right? I can't hear you, so don't worry about that.
Mr. Baker. Hey, listen, I have a community partner, and they're asking me, do I know of anyone that's hiring? She has a cousin or niece that's coming down for summer break for college, and she's majoring in pre-med and psychology. Would that be something you'd be looking for your program? I know you said you're looking for people.
Juan, I hear you talking. Who you talking to, Juan?
I was talking to you, Mr. Baker.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I said that I have a community partner looking for some summer work for her. I think it might be her niece who's coming down for college for the summer. She's majoring in psychology and pre-med. Just wondering if you had any openings over there. I know you was looking for some people.
Yeah, actually, you can give her my my info because I'm looking for we're going to be doing a camp this summer, so that definitely is opportunity for staff for camp, and then depending on her age, we also looking for tech facilitators.
Yeah, I guess she's in college, so she's you heard me? She's in college, so she's over the age of 18.
Oh, okay. Hey, Shay, what's going on?
I'm gonna see both of you guys on Saturday, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
at the mission conference, yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Absolutely. So
I'm going Friday.
is something going on Friday too?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there on Friday. Yeah. We're gonna come out on Friday.
So
yeah.
So are we supposed to come on Friday too?
Yeah, if you want to come on Friday, it's free.
It's a network opportunity. I'll be there.
Okay.
You going?
Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, no.
More than likely, I probably will. I just gotta. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get in touch with you.
Okay, cool. Listen.
1 second, I'm sorry, y'all. Real quick, I was actually talking to Ms. Porter, and maybe remember, this is so timely because I don't know if you guys know Dan Rubin, who is the Deputy Director of Central Jersey Legal Services. Yeah. Him and I are actually working on a presentation. It's actually pretty much almost done on the Fair Credit Reporting Act that we're going to present to different partners and returning citizens, so we can show and talk with them about how they can better advocate for themselves in the hiring process. So that presentation is going to be done at the New Jersey Pathway for the Integration meeting at Robert Wood Johnson on May 19th. You guys are, for those who missed it in the room earlier, if you guys would like to come out, we would love to have your support. So I just want to make sure I mention that to you guys before you left. So thank you for reminding me of that.
You send an email.
Yes, I will send an email to
so we can send it out. Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. Thank you.
There's an.
Mr. Baker, I just sent you her number. I just sent her your number, all right?
Okay. Thank you, Juan. Appreciate it.
I already know, yo. Yes, sir. Hey, I'm gonna be logging off, man. I'm gonna talk to you guys later, man. Have a blessed rest of the week. Hit me up, Mr. Baker. If I don't see you, I'll see you on Saturday, all right?
All right. All right. Thanks, Juan. And a matter of fact, I'm gonna text you in a little bit. All right.
But I think it's going to be able to do that kind of matrix, where it's having and essentially someone has this particular job. And the main thing is it's always criteria. Which is real defense type things. Similarity of fine. And job and then afterwards, it's assessment. So a lot of the technology is something coming back into taking that. It's licenses. Right, that's the plan. Yeah.
Any takeaway from this meeting today? What's your takeaway?
Well, I think there's an opportunity to hire good people. You know, right now, it's tough getting good employees. We mentioned identical statistics. And regardless of incarcerated, is a lot more likely to work a lot better than so many. So, good people is really having an advantage for employers. If they say, they come around about something like this, I think it's important to get together and spread it.
Thanks. Got it so much. It just was just
yeah, even was great. Yeah, I just like
but it's good to have that. And so, yeah, we've had Small world, and I think it's so incredibly great to have you on. I think you'll get insights from working back.
Thank you. That's still, that's definitely one of the. I'm just, I'm being wrong. I'm not gonna dig this.
It's all right. It's like I would say to people, Italy. It's one seat. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Take care of you.
Here,
by law.
Make sure the town is in front of it.
Back on show. No, has to be. So there is a.
And
6 page.
maybe not in show you.
There we have to make our points there.
It's not like sometimes, oh, we have to take this. It's not.
How many times? And I put that on terms. This is part of it. This is no. See about it. You do it. Yeah, this is great. And then sure enough, you know, I
Well, from the next year, right there, I see very specialized. And then you're
This, Chelsea, so this, business. And it's second chance.
Like I told him, any other grant that I can,
Yeah.
We're running into financial issues and I had to restructure and I had to let go my 3 staff members. They will have another 2 weeks and then they'll be wrapping
So
up.
this is one of the things we're doing in
And I have to
the
replace
organization.
now positions with one. They will be some changes. Like they'll send out something at some point.
There is a cost.
Whenever they-
It is.
I understand.
But yeah, that's the reason we're doing this. And then we're recovering from this and then grow again. So much.
So yes, that's definitely something we're doing in Red Deer. I want to make sure they have.
The dog business. So rather than we're still in her last, I guess, I usually just acting as sort of go through, I guess. You know,
So yes, there's definitely.
what you want to help you move around and then following.
Just in case.
We just started this is the third month. Oh, it's been going pretty well. It's good. We have down and now to get around.
And you make sure that you, whatever you're sending.
So there's many ways of looking at it. Kind of. Never gonna meet, we're so small, but this is perfect.
Yeah. Region here.
Very active.
I know that's good.
Yeah, after, because I know you have this so many times.
No, it's okay. I mean, we do it. That's how it is. So
Yeah.
So,
for years, that's what I'm here for.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
So,
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
see you, James.
Always a pleasure. Nice to meet you.
I'm like, I should find.
Now I know, so I can.
Yeah. Okay, now how?
So for us, the only best candidate can see those that impact and they really want to give back. Because they're working with a campaign, not one person, but hundreds of thousands. And for us, we really want to have that and that's really close that. It's about
it's hard to figure that out, but
Redford University and but you service buying outside like for us expand that way be outside general areas.
Right now, what's your take on
they say, hey, you know, is there anything?
Jones and right, everything's doing trying to still
You know, is there anything like to change? You're gonna get Look,
still more than we
Patty, like to change. Now,
There it is.
And you know, instead of saying, I say, well, what do you think? Like, I'm reading the announcer. If you say anything, I'm even on that. Say, my little thing, different ways, but I'm not. If it feels to people, I think I'm
Yeah.
There's so much.
You know, and with a selfie, that was, we all saw this. I think. Oh, yeah. So.
Have a good day. Be good. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds
On
good.
that committee.
Oh, good, good. This is
Jeanette.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, those, that's it, yes.
That last week today. I didn't even have it, oh, excuse me, oh, you get kids down. I'm gonna give you that number.
Hey.
God, we have ours.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Nice to meet you. All right.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah, thanks.
So, I was like, sure.
Can you say something came up for him?
Yeah.
Oh, happy to still get you.
Well, wait.
My first is.
Here's the thing. If someone. That's right.
Somebody looks good. Ryan, I'm going to Ryan was.
Nice. As a tax. Yeah. Stays. They're not hard. By law, you have the right to dispute.
The point was that they wanted to.
Or,
Yeah.
to provide an explanation. And then, you know.
And that's the key thing.
Well, I mean, if you think about that, so they have to provide an explanation of why.
Like he was about wrapping
No, no,
up.
you can stop.
Why the criminal record.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I didn't really.
Like we.
And then you're gonna have
Now,
that.
we're waiting.
Because, so you got it.
Actually.
Last I heard, Eric was preparing the MOU for internal. And said some snacks, something came up, he said it was done, and so it's gonna be one of the building like, and. Fun, but it is gonna show. Well, did you think that you have?
So what's true, we need an MOU.
But someone who is allow has gone through the Department of Jobs.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
that's how they get years to apply.
Yeah.
So that we're waiting. Hopefully someone goes around. Oh, and
Yeah, yeah.
So much more. Some people. That way. I would say.
There's a list
Yeah. But I'm gonna hold you, I just saw you come to these other side. Yeah, you work, anything you think. That's not what you're. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah. Whatever you need, I'm here.
Thank you.
Karen, what do you need? What are you putting away? What are you cleaning up? What kind of help? Just clean up. We're not gonna you were excellent. Thank you, sir. I know, right? You got done. You got done.
What are your requirements? That was part of it. So I'm gonna give you. No, I was gonna have specific background. You can say something like that. But let's say you're next, let's say you're next to the 15 years ago, and you could maybe ask the employer, you got fired out. You look back at the year, you go back. Because legally.
Matt, thank you, my friend.
Oh, no, thank you. I
Good talk.
appreciate it.
Good talk.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's why. Some of them, they don't rely on my data, they just look up everything, and then. Really, and then when the employer doesn't hire the.